Hi everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you to this episode of Mahabharat. This version of Mahabharat is the translated version of Ved Vyas Mahabharat by Kisari Mohan Ganguli. This is an honest attempt to share the version with the listeners. Adi Parva Continued. And Uttanka, being told this, said unto the queen, Lady, be under no apprehension. Takshak, chief of the serpents, is not able to overtake me. And having said this, and taking leave of the queen, he went back into the presence of Portia and said, Portia, I am gratified. Then Portia said to Uttanka, a fit object of charity can only be had at long intervals. Thou art a qualified guest. Therefore, do I desire to perform a Shraddha. Tarry thou a little. And Uttanka replied, Yes, I will tarry, and beg that the clean provisions that are ready may be soon brought in. And the king, having signified his assent, entertained Uttanka duly. And Uttanka, seeing that the food placed before him had hair in it, and also that it was cold, thought it unclean. And he said unto Portia, Thou givest me food that is unclean. Therefore, shan't thou lose thy sight? And Portia in answer said, And because those thou impure uncleanliness do food that is clean, therefore shan't thou be without issue. And Uttanka thereupon rejoined, It behoveth thee not, after having offered me unclean food, to curse me in return. Satisfy thyself by ocular proof. And Portia, seeing the food alleged to be unclean, satisfied himself of its uncleanliness. And Portia, having ascertained that the food was truly unclean, being cold and mixed with hair, prepared as it was by a woman with unbraided hair, began to pacify the Rishi Uttanka, saying, Sir, the food placed before thee is cold, and doth contain hair, having been prepared without sufficient care. Therefore, I pray thee pardon me, let me not become blind. And Uttanka answered, What I say must come to pass. Having become blind, thou must, however, recover the sight before long. Grant that thy also doth not take effect on me. And Portia said unto him, I am unable to revoke my curse, for my wrath even now hath not been appeased. But thou knowest not this. For a Brahmin's heart is soft as new churned butter, even though his words bear a sharp edged razor. This is otherwise in respect of these with the Kshatriyas. His words are soft as new churned butter, but his heart is like a sharp edged tool. Such being the case, I am unable, because of the hardness of my heart, to neutralize my curse. Then go thou thy own way. To this Uttanka made answer, I showed thee the uncleanliness of the food offered to me, and I was even now pacified by thee. Besides, said thou at first that because I imputed uncleanliness to food that was clean, I should be without issue. But the food truly unclean, thy curse cannot affect me. Of this I am sure. And Uttanka, having said this, departed with the earrings. On the road, Uttanka perceived coming towards him a naked idle beggar, sometimes coming in view and sometimes disappearing. And Uttanka put the earrings on the ground and went for water. In the meantime, the beggar came quickly to the spot and taking up the earrings ran away. And Uttanka, having completed his ablutions in water and purified himself, and having also reverently bowed down to the gods and his spiritual masters, pursued the thief with the utmost speed. And having with great difficulty overtaken him, he seized him by force. But at that instant, the person ceased, quitting the form of a beggar, assuming his real form, that is, that of Takshak, speedily entered a large hole open in the ground. And having got in, Takshak proceeded to his own abode, the region of the serpents. Now Uttanka, recollecting the words of the queen, pursued the serpent and began to dig open the hole with a stick, but was unable to make much progress. And Indra, beholding his distress, sent his thunderbolt, Vajra, to his assistance. Then the thunderbolt, entering that stick, enlarged that hole. And Uttanka began to enter the hole after the thunderbolt. And having entered it, he beheld the regions of the serpents, infinite in extent, filling with hundreds of palaces and elegant mansions with turrets and domes and gateways, abounded with wonderful places of various games and entertainments. And Uttanka then glorified the serpents by the following shloka. Ye serpents, subjects of King Airavat, splendid in battle and showering weapons in the field like lightning charged clouds driven by the winds, handsome and of various forms, and decked with many colored earrings, ye children of Airavat, ye shine like the sun in the firmament. On the northern banks of the Ganges are many habitations of serpents. There I constantly adore the great serpents. Who except Airavat would desire to move in the burning rays of the sun? When Dhritarashtra, Airavat's brother, goes out, 28,008 serpents follow him as his attendants. Ye who move near him, and ye who stay at a distance from him, I adore all of you that have Airavat for your elder brother. I adore thee also to obtain the earrings, O Takshak, who formerly dwelt in Kurukshetra and the forests of Khandaq. Takshak and Ashwasena, ye are constant companions who dwell in Kurukshetra on the banks of Ikshumati. I also adored the illustrious Shrutsen, the younger brother of Takshak, who resided in the holy palace called Mahadyumna, with a view to obtaining the chiefship of the serpents. The Brahmin Rishi Uttanka, having saluted the chief serpents in this manner, obtained not, however, the earrings, and he thereupon became very thoughtful. And when he saw that he obtained not the earrings, even though he had adorned the serpents, he then looked about him and beheld two women at a loom wearing a piece of cloth with a fine shuttle, and in the loom were black and white threads. And he likewise saw a wheel with 12 spokes, turned by 6 boys. And he also saw a man with a handsome horse. And he began to address the following mantras. This wheel, whose circumference is marked by 24 divisions, representing as many lunar changes, is furnished with 300 spokes. It is set in continual motion by 6 boys, the seasons. These damsels, representing universal nature, are weaving without intermission a cloth with thread and black and white, thereby ushering into existence the manifold worlds and the beings that inhabit them. Thou wielder of the thunder, the protector of the universe, displayer of Verita, Namuchi, thou illustrious one, who wearest the black cloth and displayeth truth and untruth in the universe, thou who ownest for thy carrier the horse which was received from the depths of the ocean, and which is but another form of Agni, the god of fire, I bow to thee, thou supreme Lord, thou Lord of 3 worlds, O Purandara. Then the man with the horse said unto Uttanka, I am gratified by this thy adoration. What good shall I do to thee? And Uttanka replied, Even let the serpents be brought under my control. Then the man rejoined, "Blow into this horse." And Uttanka blew into that horse. And from the horse thus blown into were issued from every aperture of his body flames of fire, with smoke by which the regions of the Nagas was about to be consumed. And Takshak, surprised beyond measure and terrified by the heat of the fire, hastily came out of his abode, taking the earrings with him, and said unto Uttanka, "Pray, sir, take back the earrings." And Uttanka took them back. But Uttanka, having recovered his earrings, thought, "Oh, this is that sacred day of my preceptress. I am at a distance. How can I therefore show my regard for her?" And when Uttanka was anxious about this, the man addressed him and said, "Ride this horse, Uttanka, and he will in a moment carry thee to thy master's abode." And Uttanka, having signified his assent, mounted the horse and presently reached his preceptor's house. And his preceptress that morning, after having bathed with dressing her hair, sitting, thinking of uttering a curse on Uttanka if he should not return within time. But in the meantime, Uttanka entered his preceptor's abode and paid his respects to his preceptress and presented her the earrings. "Uttanka," said she, "thou hast arrived at the proper time, at the proper place. Welcome, my child. Thou art innocent, and therefore I do not curse thee. Good fortune is ever before thee. Let thy wishes be crowned with success." Then Uttanka waited on his preceptor, and his preceptor said, "Thou art welcome. What hath thou occasioned thy long absence?" And Uttanka replied to his preceptor, "Sir, in the execution of this my business, obstruction was offered by Takshak, the king of serpents. Therefore, I had to go to the region of the Nagas. There I saw two damsels sitting at a loom, weaving a fabric with black and white threads. Pray, what is that?" There likewise I beheld a wheel with 12 spokes, ceaselessly turned by 6 boys. What too doth that import? Who is also the man that I saw? And what the horse of extraordinary size likewise beheld by me? And when I was on the road, I also saw a bull, with a man mounted thereon, by whom I was endearingly accosted thus: "Uttanka, eat of the dung of this bull, which was also eaten by thy master." So I ate of the dung of that bull according to his wishes. Who also is he? Therefore, enlightened by thee, I desire to hear all about them. And his preceptor, thus addressed, said unto him, "The two damsels thou hast seen are Danta and Vidanta, and Vidhata, Data and Vidhata. The black and white threads denote night and day. The wheels of 12 spokes turned by the 6 boys signify the year comprising of 6 seasons. The man is Parjanya, the deity of rain. The horse is Agni, the god of fire. The bull that thou hast seen on the road is Airavat, the king of elephants. The man mounted thereon is Indra, and the dung of the bull which was eaten by thee was Amrita. It was certainly for this last that thou hast not met with death in the region of the Nagas. And Indra, who is my friend, having been mercifully inclined, showed thee favour. It is for this that thou returnest safe, with the earrings about thee. Then, O thou amiable one, I give thee leave to depart. Thou shalt obtain good fortune." And Uttanka, having obtained his master's leave, moved by anger and resolved to avenge himself on Takshak, proceeded towards Hastinapur. That excellent Brahmin soon reached Hastinapur, and Uttanka then waited upon King Janmejay, who had some time before returned victorious from Takshila. And Uttanka saw the victorious monarch surrounded on all sides by his ministers, and he pronounced benedictions on them in a proper form. And Uttanka addressed the monarch at the proper moment in speech of correct accent and melodious sounds, saying, O thou the best of monarchs, how is that thou spendest thy time like a child when there is another matter that urgently demandeth thy attention? Sauti said, the monarch Janmejay, thus addressed, saluting that excellent Brahmin, replied unto him, in cherishing these my subjects, I do discharge the duties of my noble tribe. Say, what is that business to be done by me, and which hath brought thee hither? The foremost of Brahmins, and distinguished beyond all of good deeds, thus addressed by the excellent monarch of large heart, replied unto him, O king, the business is thy own, that demandeth thy attention, and therefore do it please. O thou king of kings, thy father was deprived of life by Takshak. Therefore, do thou avenge thy father's death on the vile serpent? The time hath come, I think, for the act of vengeance ordained by the fates. Go then, avenge the death of thy magnanimous father, who, being bitten without cause by the vile serpent, was reduced to five elements, even like a tree stricken by thunder. The wicked Takshat, vilest of the serpent race, intoxicated with power, committed an unnecessary act when he bit the king. That godlike father, the protector of the royal saints, wicked in his deeds, he even caused Kashyap, the prince of physicians, to run back when he was coming for the relief of thy father. I behoved thee to burn the wicked wretch in the blazing fire of a snake sacrifice. O king, give instant orders for the sacrifice. It is thus thou canst avenge the death of thy father. And a very great favour shall have also been shown to me. For by that malignant wretch, O virtuous prince, my business also was on one occasion obstructed, while proceeding on account of my preceptor. Sauti continued. The monarch, having heard these words, was enraged with Takshak. By the speech of Uttanka was inflamed the prince, even as the sacrificial fire with clarified butter. Moved by grief also in the presence of Uttanka, the prince asked his ministers the particulars of his father's journey to the region of the blessed. And when he heard all about the circumstances of his father's death from the lips of Uttanka, he was overcome with pain and sorrow. And thus endeth the section called Pausha of the Adi Parv of the blessed Mahabharat. With this, we come to an end to this episode of Mahabharat and its heroes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is your host, Madhulika Rajahan, signing off. Stay healthy always. Narayan Narayan.